Hiya, I'm Davin from Brewbitz.com. Behind the camera we got James. Say hello, James. Right, today I thought we would look at brewing up one of our most popular brands of wine, which is Winebuddy. And if you've just been given this as a present, or if you're thinking about getting started brewing wine at home, this is a fantastic place to start. Here we've got the Winebuddy 6-bottle 7-day starter package, which has got pretty much everything inside of it you need to make 6 bottles of wine. And they do it in 2 flavours, Chardonnay or Cabernet Sauvignon. And here we're going to be doing the Chardonnay. There are a couple of other little bits and bobs you'll need. You'll need a jug. You'll need 900 grams of sugar, and here I've got a bag of brewing sugar. And you're also going to need 6 bottles to put it in at the end. Apart from that, everything else you need is in the box. So, let's take a look what we've got in the box. Come on in, James. So when you open your box up, inside, you'll find you've got a couple of buckets. Right, let's pop the box out of the way for a second. Now inside the buckets, we've got, see? 2 buckets, 1 lid. Inside we've got our grape concentrate. In this lovely tube we've got a hydrometer. We'll explain that a little bit later. Aha! Your all important instructions. We'll be going through those and showing you what you need to do with these to get your wine tasting as good as it can. We've got some other sachets. So we've got something called stabilizer, which is pack C. Ooh, we've got pack A, which is yeast nutrients. We've got some pack D, which is Chardonnay. Oh, look at this. We've even got your own wine labels to go on your finished bottles. What else have we got? Oh, we've got some oak chips. Real French oak chips. We've got a pack of Finings 1. And we've got a pack of Finings 2, and we've got a pack of Finings 3. Right, what else have we got? We've got a lovely long spoon for stirring everything. We've got a siphon so that we can move the wine from one bucket to the next. We've got a bucket clip to clip the siphon in so we don't have the tube going everywhere. And we've also got 6 corks to go in your bottles. So it's a wise thing to make now that the bottles you need are bottles that would have had corks in. Okay, the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to have to rinse everything with hot water just that's come off the boil from the kettle. So whilst I do that, I'm going to ask James to get me something to quench my thirst. Thank you, James. Right, just finished swilling our buckets out with the boiling water. Oh, that's good. And now what we need to do is we need to take a litre of boiling water and we need to put it into our fermenting bucket. So there we go, there's my litre of boiling water. And then it goes. Right, James has also been very kind to measure out for me the 900 grams of sugar, and this is just going to go straight in. So in it goes. Lovely. And now we need to take our spoon and we need to just give it a good stirring until you dissolve all the sugar. So now all the sugar is dissolved, we need to add our bottle of grape concentrates. So we're just literally going to pour that in. That's 300 ml in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to top that back up with some water to the same level. And then we're going to give that a good old shaking. That gets rid of all the rest of the grape concentrate, and in that goes as well. Okay, we give it a good stir. So now we're going to top it up with 3.2 litres of cold tap water, and that'll take it up to 4.8 litres in total. So just 3.2 litres of cold water. That's number one. Number two. Number three. And another 200 ml. There we go. We need to give this a good stir. So now we add pack A, which is our yeast and yeast nutrient. We just open that like so, and on it goes. Absolutely. Come on in, James, have a look at this. We're just going to literally pop it on the top. Lovely. And we've also got another pack to go on. This is pack B. These are our French oak chips. So we're literally just going to pop them in as well. And this will give a really good oaky flavour to the Chardonnay. And so we now just give it a good stir. Don't worry, all of this will soak in, and eventually all of that, those oak chips, at the end, they won't be in the finished wine, don't worry. So we give it a good stir, make sure it's all worked in. Don't slosh it too much because you don't want it going over the top. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our lid, which I've somehow managed to attach to the other bucket, and we're going to loosely put it on. By the way I do that, I just pop it on top and then push it down on two sides. Now, this is going to start fermenting now, and it could froth over because it does get quite active. So what I'm going to do, just to be on the safe side, is I'm going to pop it in a baking tray. Okay, I'm now going to put this somewhere warm, about 20 degrees-ish, for the next 6 days. Feel free to open the top up, have a look, see what's going on. But in 6 days, we'll come back and we'll show you what you need to do next. It's been 6 days since we put the Chardonnay on, so let's have a look. Come on in, James. I know that over the last 6 days I've been having a good old look to see what's been going on with it. And if you have too, you'd have been seeing it frothing up, and mine's actually overspilled into the tray, so it's a good job I put it in there. So the next steps for us to do is to take the wine from this bucket, put it into our second bucket because we need to degas it. And the way we're going to be doing that is using our siphon. So what I need to do first of all is I just need to rinse the bucket out with some hot water from the kettle that I've just boiled. Right, so the bucket's going to go below the first bucket, and if James pans down you'll see that I've got a table down at the bottom here. And what we're going to be using to siphon it from this bucket to the second, as I said, is the siphon. You'll notice if James comes in, that on this end we've got a little plastic cap. You can pull that off, look. And this is a sediment trap. Oh, get it back on there. There we go. In the bottom of the bucket of wine, at the bottom there's going to be quite a lot of sediment, all the oak chips and all the yeast poo and everything like that. So we're going to do our best not to disturb it. So we're going to gradually lower our tube down into the wine as we go through. How do we get the wine started? Well, this is the fun bit. We pop the top bit in and we give a good suck on the other end so you see the wine start to flow through. There you go. And all we simply do now is let it flow into the second bucket. Come on in, James. You can see it flowing into the second bucket nice and easily, and if James has a look you can possibly just about see how low I am with the, you can just about see it moving around now. So it's going to take a few moments for us to siphon it from the first bucket to the second, and then we'll come back. It does take a few moments to siphon it from the first bucket to the second, so it's always handy to have a glass of refreshment with you, especially on a day like today. It's baking today. Excellent. Right, so come on in, James, and have a look at this, because this is what was left behind. This is all the yeast poo that the yeast has made over the last 6 days, and all the leftover oat chips. And what we need to do now is we need to give this a quick swill out. Okay, so I've given our bucket a blooming good clean out, and what we need to do again, just like we did last time, is pour some boiling water from the kettle into it, give it a good swish around. Whoop. Excellent, and it's ready for the next stage. So we're going to take our bucket off the table and pop that up the top. That's the bucket with the wine in, and we're going to take the bucket without the wine in, put it on the table. Right, so now we know there's no sediment left in the bottom of this one. Remember our cap on the end of our siphon? We can take that off now. Keep it somewhere safe though. And we go again. So, in it goes, and give a good old suck. So this is the second time of doing it, and we're going to need to do it after we've done this another 4 times to fully degas the wine. What we mean by degassing is when the yeast are doing their work of turning the sugar to alcohol, one of the byproducts they give off is carbon dioxide, and some of that carbon dioxide gets dissolved into the wine. Just like when you have a bottle of Coke or something like that, all the fizziness comes from the carbon dioxide, and that's what you need to get rid of. Otherwise, when we get to the next stage of trying to clear the wine, we'd have problems. After 6 times, we're now ready to test the wine with our hydrometer. So, being careful, it's made of glass, and James comes in and has a quick look here. You'll notice at the top I've got this greeny blue band, a yellow one and a red one. This is all about how much sugar is left in the wine. So when we put this in, we want it to be in the blue band. So what I mean by that is you'll see right now, oh look at that, lovely. The top of the wine, the top of the liquid is in the blue band. Perfect. So we're ready to move on to the clearing stages. Remember to give your hydrometer a quick wipe off. Same as everything else, give it a good clean after you finish using it, because that means then we can use it again next time. Pop it back into its little protective house. Right, so in the box I've put all the other sachets of everything else we needed. And I'm looking for one called stabilizer. Here we go, little packet called stabilizer. And all we're going to do is we're going to pop this in. Like so. Come on in, James. It's just a white powder really that just sits on the top and sinks down in. And then we're going to hunt out our spoon and we're going to give it a good stir in. So now we've stirred in the stabilizer, we need to add Pack D, which is our Chardonnay. And what we need to do is just snip the top off of this. Have a sniff if you want. Ooh. And in that goes. Get it all in there because you want all the lovely flavour that that's going to impart. That's quite a lot of flavour in there. Alright, and we need to give this a good stir in as well. Nice and gentle so you don't spill any. Excellent. So now we're going to move on to the finings. So you've now got a Pack E. It's a little sachet. It's almost slightly pearlescent when you look at it at the light. And what we're going to do is again snip the top off of that and stir it in. Doesn't look like there's very much in there, but trust me, it will do a brilliant job. Right, we need to give that a good stir in as well, nice and gently. Lovely. Right, keep any flies and bugs or anything like that from getting in there. We're now going to put the top on, properly on, and we're going to leave it for an hour. So now it's time to add pack F, which is a clear gel. And again, all we're going to do, pop the top off, pour it in. Make sure we get it all in. Lovely. We're going to give this a good stir. And now the top goes back on again. We leave it for another hour. It's been another hour, so we now have to add our last pack. And I'm literally just going to take the top off of here. And in goes pack G. Like so. And again, we give it a good stir. Lovely. Okay, the top now goes back on. And we need to put this in a place that we're not going to move it again for the next 24 hours. Because in 24 hours time, we're going to come back and we're going to siphon off the wine off of the sediment that's in the bottom, because this is what the filings is going to do. It's gradually going to clear down, it's going to leave a layer of sediment at the bottom. So most importantly now, this needs to go somewhere that you can siphon it off and it's not going to be moved. It's been 24 hours since we added the last pack of filings, so come on in, James, and have a look at this, because it's gone lovely and clear. Right. All of the sediment has now dropped to the bottom of the first bucket. So what we need to do now is we need to siphon the wine off from the first bucket into our second bucket using our siphon again. And you'll notice I've put on the end of the siphon the sediment trap. Okay, so just like last time, we need to get some boiling water. Pour it into our bucket and give it a good old swish around, clean it out. Excellent, and just like we're getting used to this now, the clean bucket goes underneath. The sediment trap goes in the wine and we give a good suck. Okay. We're going to siphon it off the sediment. So, finish siphoning off the wine into the second bucket. And if James comes in now, you can see all the sediment that we've left behind. Here you go, James, see it all in there. And so I was very careful with the siphon not to get any of that. Right, I'm just going to pop the lid back on our wine. We're going to talk about bottles. Because right at the beginning, I showed you that we needed 6 wine bottles. Now, if you've bought 6 brand new wine bottles, then all you'll need to do with them is clean them out with some hot water from the kettle. But if you're using used wine bottles, like I am here, you're going to need to sterilise them. Now, to do this, we'll need some steriliser, we'll need some water. So, here I'm using some sodium metabisulfate. And I need to mix that up with a litre of hot water. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of sodium metabisulfate, and I pop that in the bottom of my jug. Here you go, James, come and have a quick look at this. It's just a white powder, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to shake it, you don't want to get it anywhere, because if you get it up your nose, it will make you sneeze, cough and everything else. So I'm just going to top this up with some water. like so, and give it a good stir to make sure it's all dissolved. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take my bottles and my water and literally pop it in like so. And I'm going to transfer this now into a second bottle. Easy as that. I'm going to carry on doing all 6 bottles, and then once I've put the sodium metabisulfate solution in them, I'm then going to leave them for 10 minutes. So the wine bottles have now had 10 minutes to sit and allow the sodium metabisulfate that coated all the insides to do its work. So what we need to do now is we need to swirl them out with cold tap water. And this will get rid of any extra sodium metabisulfate. And now we're ready to bottle. So to do that, we're going to be using our siphon and the little cap on the end. This time again, we're going to take it off because of course there's no sediment left in the wine. We're also going to be using our bucket clip so that we've got 2 hands free when we're bottling. And to do that, all we do is we push the pipe into its little receptacle like that. Come on and have a quick look, James, so everybody can see. So there we've got the bucket clip, and then it goes into its little hole. Okay, so off the top comes, and all we do is the pipe goes in like that, and the bucket clip clips on the edge. Pretty simple. And just like every other time, we're going to start siphoning by giving a good suck. This is where you're going to have to use your finger, because in the top of the bottle it goes, and it's going to start to flow. Now come down here, James, because I want everybody to see that I want the wine to get up to about that level there, the top of my finger, so that that's going to allow us some airspace to put the cork in. So it's going to gradually fill up. If you notice, it's getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. And about there is where we want it. Perfect. That's our first bottle of wine done. So I'm going to get on with the other 5. I finished bottling the Chardonnay and there was a little bit left over, so I popped that in a glass. Now Chardonnay is meant to be served chilled, so I'm going to pop this in the fridge and then we'll get on with the corking. In the box you'll find 6 stoppers, and before we put those in the bottles we need to swirl them off with hot water from the kettle. So into a jug they go, pour on the just off the boil water, and then we need to a bit easier. Okay, so all we're going to do is take stopper number 1, and then it goes. You do that with the other 5 bottles. Easy as that. And now to give that last little finishing touch to the wine, the labels. And to do this, we're going to take the bottle, and just to make sure that it's dry, give it a quick wipe off with a dry tea towel. And the labels are sticky, so you just lie it down its side. And on it goes. Ta-da! I'm just going to finish off the other 5 bottles. So there we have it, 6 bottles of Winebuddy Chardonnay that was made in 7 days. So how does it taste? Well, here's my little glass from earlier. It's been in the fridge, so it's cooled it down. it's okay. For the price, brilliant value for money. And if you were to be having a big party or something like that, then the 30 bottle kit of this, making it well under £1 a bottle, I don't think anybody would be upset if you served it to them.